Hi, my name is Emily Machuca, and I'll be your nutrition counselor today. It's nice to meet you, Amelia. May I ask you what brings you here today?
It's my diabetes. The chance of maybe you helping me with the guidelines as to how I should be able to manage it. I'm not managing as well as I'd like to.
Okay. May I ask you how long you've had diabetes for?
I think it's like maybe 22 years.
Okay, so you've had it for about 22 years. All right, and that's great to hear that you would like some more information regarding that. So I'll just ask you a couple of questions just to get to know you a little better and decide how I can best help you. So my first question would be, would you mind describing your normal eating habits, like maybe what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner?
Breakfast is usually coffee, like 1 cup of coffee, black, no sugar.
Okay.
I've been doing that for a great many years that way, my coffee. I like eggs, so maybe I'll have a fried egg, a scramble, or a hard-boiled egg on occasion.
Mm-hmm.
A piece of bacon, which I blot, make sure there's no grease or anything on it. A piece of toast, dry, no butter. And that's about it for that. Sometimes I'll have potatoes, but not very often.
Okay, great. Sounds like a good breakfast. As far as lunch and dinner go, what do you typically eat for those meals?
Lunch, maybe around 11:30 or 12, because I get up kind of early.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have a sandwich. I make sure I have an apple because of my blood pressure. Apples are good for that, I heard. Celery sticks, radishes for crunch. Water, a lot of water. I drink a lot of water.
Okay, that's good.
And maybe a granola bar on occasion.
Okay.
And that's it for lunch. Dinner's a little bit more.
Okay, so a little more for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
What do you typically eat for dinner then?
For dinner, sometimes I'll have like a meat.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have like a pork chop, fried, on its own fat that it has, drained. I boil little red potatoes, and I have those just plain, nothing on them, except pepper. Salad, tomato, lettuce, spinach. I like spinach a lot.
Okay.
I'll have the green vegetables. I like the broccoli, the spinach. I don't do the carrots unless I do raw, because I know if I steam them, there's sugar in those.
Mm-hmm.
So I bypass that. Once in a while, I'll have a tortilla with my dinner. But mainly, I'm trying to stay away from all that and just have maybe a piece of bread at the most, and that's it.
Okay, great.
With, again, tea or water.
Okay, so you would say you typically, for your beverage choice, would be water then?
Yes.
Okay, that's definitely a good choice. All right, and then as far as snacking, do you ever have snacks, or it's not really something you do?
On occasion, I'm really not a snacker, but I've been told that I should have snacks in between, because it helps, I guess, with the levels of the sugar, how it goes in my body. So maybe a granola bar, a fruit. Like I said, apples are my favorites right now.
Okay.
And
great. Well, thank you for that. That definitely gives me a better idea of foods you like to eat. I'll just ask you a couple more questions, not so much related as much to food, but do you typically exercise during the week? Is that something you take part in?
I should exercise more than what I do. I like to maybe walk some, do the exercise bike, because that's indoors and I can be doing that and watching the clock, which I time myself on.
Right.
Maybe 7-10 minutes. I'll
Okay.
do.
7 to 10 minutes.
But not on a regular basis, which I'm ashamed to say.
That's all right. Okay, great. So you definitely get some walking in sometimes, and you prefer to use the exercise bike since it's indoors, which is great, especially when it's hot outside. And you try to aim for about 7 to 10 minutes then, right?
I do.
Okay, but it's not as consistent as you would like, you say. Okay,
Yes.
great. Thank you for that. Okay. Great. So now that helps me get to better know you. So that'll definitely help me work together with you to create some goals to help you
Yes.
possibly just improve upon these things, get to know a little bit more about your diabetes and what we can do to help you keep those blood sugars in control. So we're going to take the time today to focus on one or two goals, which I feel like we already have enough information to definitely develop some very concrete ones. So we'll get along with that. That's pretty much what we'll be doing today in the counseling session. We'll be working together to create things that are very practical and personal to your own life, things that you feel are more achievable for you, and get started on that. So basically, now that I've gone over the basics of the program and I've gotten to know you a little bit better, we can go ahead and explore your needs in greater detail. Okay, so during that portion, I realized you definitely touched on you would like to possibly add snacks into your diet, and you just would like maybe a better eating plan for helping manage the diabetes.
Yes.
And I noticed you also said that you would like to work on incorporating a little bit more exercise.
Exactly.
I know that it's great that you already do some, but you did say you would like to possibly be more consistent. Exactly, yes. So would you like to work on making these changes today then?
Yes.
Okay, that's great to hear. And so basically, now I'd like to have just a better understanding of this overall topic by asking you a few questions using what's called a readiness ruler. Basically, it's a tool that just kind of like identifies different aspects of changing. So I'll go ahead and ask you a few questions. So the identified behavior we chose was just eating a diet more rich in whole foods. So as far as your readiness to change, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest, how ready do you feel to make these changes?
Oh, I would say like maybe a 7.
A 7. Okay, great. And may I ask why you didn't choose a lower number, perhaps a 5?
Because I guess I want to just get more into it and as quickly as I can and start for a better diet, a better plan for my life
Okay,
with this diabetes that I have.
all right, that sounds great. And then what would have to happen to make it perhaps a number 9, a number that's a little bit higher than the 7 you chose? What would it take to get to a higher number for you when it comes for readiness?
I would have to really get myself in a mindset that I have to achieve better than what I have been doing.
Okay, so just have to get in that proper mindset
Exactly.
then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Right. I know it can always be hard to start something, but once we get into that habit, it's definitely becomes easier as we
Yes.
progress. Great. Thank you for that. Okay, so now using that same scale of 1 to 10, how important do you think it is to make a change?
From 1 to 10, I say important. I say an 8.
An 8. Okay. Great. And why did you choose a number 8?
Because it's closer to that 10 that I wish I was at quickly.
Okay. Because it's closer. All right. And then lastly, on a scale of 1 to 10 again, how confident are you that you can make a change?
I am confident to at least stay at a 7.5, close to 8.
Okay, so 7.5 or 8. That's good. That's a pretty high number. Do you mind explaining why you feel that way?
Because I have been trying in my mind maybe to really be more stronger in dealing with this disease that I do have, because I know it can be so devastating to my body.
Right.
And for myself to at least know that I can do it with the
Okay.
strength that I have.
Okay, so those are definitely great reasons. It sounds like you are definitely motivated. You seem very ready, and it's great to hear that you know the importance of doing this. It just sounds like possibly the one thing is just hard to get in that mindset to really get there, but I feel like once you do, you will definitely see those
Mhm.
results, and it'll become easier for you. So
I hope
that's
so.
great. I'm really
Yes.
glad to hear that you feel very motivated. That is definitely a great thing.
Thank
So, moving on, I do have this sort of decisional balance sheet, and it's basically what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the benefits and the costs of not either making the change or not making the change, just so you can kind of visualize what the benefits would be and what that is. So we'll go ahead and go over that. So can I ask you, what are the benefits of changing your behavior? What do you feel those would be?
Well, definitely eating better and making sure that what I put in my body is going to be beneficial with this diabetes that I do have.
Okay,
So those sugars can be better and not be high and low all the time.
great.
More stable.
More stable blood sugars.
So
Okay,
stable is my, oh yes.
great. And so what would be the drawbacks of changing your behaviors? Like, what kind of sacrifices or a burden would it be to you?
Not so much of a burden, it's just to get myself and my brain set to do better for myself, because only I can do that.
Right, exactly. Yes, you're the one that has the power to do that. All right, and then as far as not making a change, what do you feel the benefits of not changing your behavior are?
That my health would be deteriorate, really. It just wouldn't be good at all.
Right, so it wouldn't be good. And then you would just be able to kind of like be in the normal pattern, right? You wouldn't have to worry about making these extra changes. Okay. And so what are some of the bad consequences of not changing your behavior?
Well, definitely my condition would worsen,
Yes. Okay.
and I know what can happen, and it wouldn't be good at all. I would be totally out of control at that point. For my doctor to help me, it would be very hard at that point.
Okay. Great. So it sounds like you definitely have some great benefits to changing your behavior. It seems like what's really important to you is definitely being able to stabilize those blood sugars, and also
Yes.
you just want to overall eat better because you know it's better for your condition and health. So that's definitely really important. I'm glad that you were able to identify those things. As far as some of the benefits or the bad consequences of not changing, it seems that you realize that basically your condition would just worsen, and it just wouldn't be great for your overall health.
Exactly.
So that's great to see that you understand those things. All right, and now we'll go ahead and move on to the next part. Great. So I'm really glad that you're so excited and motivated to make these changes. That definitely makes it a lot easier for me to work with you. So what we're going to do is we're going to work together to create something called a SMART goal. So I have this little handout here. SMART basically stands for a specific goal, something that can be measured. We also want to make sure that it is attainable. A really fun part of this kind of goal is that there's also a reward that we can choose, in basically a reward for achieving the goal. And the last part is it is time bound, so we get to decide how long do we want to take to achieve this particular goal. So that is that. And now we're going to work together. We've already identified those two target behaviors, which were the diet and the exercise.
Right.
So we'll work together to go ahead and come up with these. So when it comes to the first one is diet, can you think of a specific goal that you would like to do in regards to that?
The goal on that one would be for me to really achieve it and stick to it, I think.
Okay, so you would really like to achieve it and stick to it. If we were going to put that into words, would we maybe say, would we like to maybe increase the variety in your diet? Maybe include more whole foods? Is that something you would?
Possibly, yeah, so it wouldn't be so monotonous and boring.
Yeah, definitely great to have variety, keep things interesting. Okay, so I think we will start off with, we'll say I will eat a healthier diet, rich in a variety of whole foods. Does
Yes.
that sound good to you?
It does.
Okay, great. Okay, so next we're gonna think of how we could make that measurable. So how do we want to make sure that we're actually eating a variety of these foods?
Yes.
Do we want to maybe, for example, count the number of fruits we're eating at each meal? Do we want to do it per week? Maybe try something new? What sounds more realistic to you?
Probably maybe weekly.
Okay, weekly. Do you have an idea of how many new things you want to incorporate? Maybe 2, 5? What sounds like a good amount to you?
Probably maybe 3, 4 different things.
Okay, so we want to have, so how about I will eat about 4 different fruits and vegetables
Yes.
each week? Yeah? Okay. So I will eat about 4 different ones. All right, great. And then as far as keeping that attainable, do you have any ideas on how we would make sure that we're attaining that goal, sticking to it?
By making sure that I have all these things in my home and not worry that I've got to go shopping because I don't have what I want. I want to
Okay.
have these things in my home.
Okay, so you want to have them on hand so
On
it's
hand.
easier, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I will have these options on hand in my household. Does
Yes.
that sound right? Okay,
Yes.
great. And now my favorite part, the reward. Is there a particular reward that you would like to give yourself for achieving these? It can be anything. It can be whatever you prefer.
Get a nice manicure, maybe.
Yeah, that would definitely be a reward I would like to. So I will get a nice manicure. Perfect. And the last part is the T, so that's our time bound. How long do you want to take to achieve this?
I want to choose a month.
A month. Okay, that is definitely a good point. So I will achieve this goal in 1 month. All right, so we have our S, which is I will eat a healthier diet rich in a variety of whole foods. As far as measuring that, you said you'll eat about 4 different fruits and vegetables per week, right? Attainable, you said that you will do your shopping and make sure that you have these things on hand in the kitchen, so it's a lot easier for you to access.
Yes.
The reward, definitely a new manicure. That sounds nice. And as far as achieving this, do you feel like 1 month would be a
I
proper
think
time?
month would be good because there's like 30 days, 31 days in a month.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's about the amount of time it takes someone to create those changes anyway.
Yes,
So I think that's a
yes.
really great starting point. Okay, great. So we have created one of your SMART goals. And now the second one we're going to work on, I know we also touched on the exercise. You definitely do exercise already, so that's a really great starting point. It's just that you said you'd like to be more consistent.
More consistent, that's
right?
the word. Yes.
Okay, great. So what can we say a specific goal would be? I will keep my exercise routine more consistent. Would that be specific?
Yes.
Okay, so I will keep the exercise routine more specific. As far as measuring that, how many times a week would you say that you want to do it? And it's okay, anything is fine. We're starting here.
Maybe 3 times.
Okay, so you feel like 3 times. So I will exercise 3 times per week, correct?
Yes.
Exercise 3 times per week. Great. And how can we make sure that's attainable?
By telling myself that I'm going to do it and do it.
Okay.
Even though it's hard, but no, it's just a part of my life that I just definitely have to do and work at it.
Okay, so you would
And
say
do it.
holding yourself accountable for it
Exactly,
then?
holding myself, that's the perfect wording, yes.
Okay, so you're gonna hold yourself accountable. Great. And now the fun part again. What would you like to choose for that reward? Be anything you want. It could be to help you with exercise, a pair of shoes, up to you. whatever you want to reward yourself with.
Probably, buy my favorite perfume.
Yes, that is another great one. Okay, so favorite perfume. All right, and as far as number 5, how long do we want to take to achieve this particular goal?
How long? Probably the same as the other.
Okay, so if you like,
it's like 31 days to try to see how I can do this.
right, and I'm sure that reward will definitely keep you motivated. New perfume. Okay, so just to go ahead and reiterate this goal again. So we said our specific part, the S, we would like to keep your exercise routine more consistent. The measurable part, we said that we will exercise 3 times per week, so that's how we'll measure it, 1, 2, and 3 days. As far as attainable, you said that you just really want to hold yourself accountable because this is something you really want to do for yourself, so that's great. The reward this time would be new perfume, your favorite perfume, and same time bound limit, we said about 1 month. So
yes.
I think that's great. So we definitely have our 2 SMART goals. And now we can go ahead and talk about how these goals are going to be beneficial. I know you've talked a lot about getting those blood sugars under control, and these 2 will definitely play a great benefit. I know you also mentioned you would like to manage your weight a little bit better.
Yes.
These will also most likely pay off with that as well. So these things will help you a lot. So we can go ahead and move on. I can give you some handouts and do a little bit more education this next part. Great. Now that we've gone over those goals, I would definitely just like to give you a little further information since I know you expressed that at the beginning of our session. So something I definitely want to start with is explaining what whole foods are. Do you currently have an idea of what whole foods are? Any sort of understanding?
Minimal, probably at this point.
Minimal? Okay.
Concentrated too much on it.
Would you be able to identify what a whole food is? No?
Maybe not right now.
Okay, that's completely fine. I can definitely go over those things right now. So what I have right here is a photo that we have of whole foods. So basically what whole foods are, they're things that have no processing. So basically an example of processed foods would be anything that's packaged or things that are fast foods. Those things have a lot of additives and things like that. Whole foods have minimal to no processing, so those would definitely rely heavy on like our fruits here, so like bananas and strawberries. We also have like our vegetables that you would buy fresh in the produce section.
Right.
So any sort of vegetables or fruits are considered whole foods.
Okay.
As far as when it comes to grains, we would consider more of like, for instance, whole grain breads. These things still have like they're not refined in the process, whereas white bread is. So we can focus a lot on the whole grains. We can also focus on other great options. We have fish, we have beans, just a lot of things that you can find in like the fresh section at your local market. So
what about cheeses?
Yes, you can definitely choose cheeses as well. Those things you could choose maybe more low-fat cheese.
Yes, yeah.
That would be a great option, but you don't have to refrain from cheese. Just
I thought sometimes like a string cheese or those, those little things that they're just in a pack, just a little string like that.
Oh yeah,
I like to sometimes munch on that as at night if I feel like I'm getting low. I'll have that with a cracker.
Yeah, we can definitely do that, and we can even incorporate that into a meal plan for you, so we can figure out how to do those sort of snacks. All right, great. So now that I've kind of taught you a little bit more about whole foods, another thing I wanted to discuss with you was the label reading. So I'm aware that you are the one who does your grocery shopping. So I just wanted to go over some basics on things you would look for when shopping for certain foods. I know that our goal is to eat a more variety of whole foods, but as well we would like to just have other options for you when purchasing things. So I just like to go over some of the basics. So here we have our nutrition facts. Some important things are to keep note of the serving sizes because there's different servings in different items, and you also want to keep note of the servings per container. For instance, this one, the serving is half a cup, but there are 4 servings per container, so it's important to keep the portions in mind. We also want to look at the total carbs that can be found in the amount of foods. That indicates like the amount of starch and sugar in one serving of the product. Carbs are really important for people with diabetes because when we consume carbs, what happens is they are converted into glucose for the body. Glucose is like a good sugar for the body. It creates energy for your cells and just for your day-to-day routine. And basically, what insulin does is it helps move that glucose throughout the body. It gets it into those cells, just keeps us going. So that's why insulin is important. Unfortunately, people with diabetes, they have maybe more insulin resistance. So the pancreas isn't able to produce enough insulin or any insulin at all, which is the reason for the medications. So that's why it's really important to keep note of the carbs and keep them very consistent. So it's important to eat a good amount of carbs. I know sometimes people may think carbs are not good, but in the case of diabetes, they're super important, probably one of the most important things. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So it's really important to keep them consistent. Based on when I give you the meal plan at the end of this section, you'll be able to see how many carbs you can have per meal and in each snack, so you can vary those things throughout the day so it never gets too boring. I know you like variety, so that'll be really important for you. I just wanted to let you know that's carbs are really important.
Okay, good to know.
Another thing on the nutrition label, you want to keep mind of the total fat as well as sodium, and just keep those things in check when you're looking for that. Okay, would you mind showing me on this nutrition label where the serving sizes are? Would you mind pointing that out to me? Just go ahead and you can just point to exactly where you see the serving size.
Okay. Well, the serving sizes are right here, like half a cup.
Yes.
Serving size.
Exactly. And then I also mentioned that you want to keep a lookout for the total carbs. Would you mind pointing to me how many carbs are in this particular item? You can go ahead and refer to the nutrition label as well, since that's what you'd be doing in a store.
There, but
yeah, you're right. That does have total carb. Total carb can also be found up here underneath.
I saw it there.
Yeah, so that would be the amount that is in it.
13.
So 13, exactly. All right. So now that we've gone over that, just lastly, I would like to give you some handouts regarding the exercise. I know that you said it's been pretty hot lately with summer and it's hard to go outside sometimes, so you do use the bike. I also printed up some exercises here for you that can be done just using a chair. You're welcome to, some of them have them sitting down in a chair and some of them are holding onto the chair, so just make sure you have a very steady chair because you don't want to fall or anything. And these just have some very basic exercises, but they can be really beneficial and they can definitely help with that insulin resistance that I talked about. They can definitely help with that, and on top of that, it helps keep your blood pressure, your blood sugars, cholesterol, triglycerides in check as well, and could also result in weight loss. So these things would be really important. I'm going to go ahead and let you take these two home with you today, and you're more than welcome to practice them, especially when it comes to your goals. You can go ahead and do a combination of these throughout the week. But I think that you might enjoy these. And then have a little bit of reading material for you to take home as well. Go ahead and look those over. Alright, so I know we discussed quite a few things. Do you have any questions for me regarding anything? Or are you feeling pretty confident about it?
Actually, it helped me a lot. You've explained a lot of things. And motivated me all the way back again into my ritual that I used to have a while back.
Alright.
That I want to have again with more enthusiasm.
Well, I'm really glad to hear that this session has helped you. I'm really happy to hear that you feel so motivated. I know you said that sometimes it's just really hard to get out of that typical mindset. So it sounds like you feel pretty motivated and happy to make these changes. So I'm really happy to hear that. I just want to go ahead and conclude the session by summarizing our goals. So the first goal was you were going to eat a healthier diet rich in a variety of whole foods. Sounds really great. And the other one was that you will keep your exercise routine consistent. So those are our two important goals that we have for today. Do you have any questions regarding those?
No, that's pretty clear.
No questions? Okay. Well, I just really want to thank you for coming in today, Amelia. I had a great time working with you and getting to know you. How do you feel about a follow-up?
I would like one.
Okay, so a follow-up in about a month. Sound good?
Yes, that sounds good.
Great. Well, take care.
You too. Thank you so much.
You're
You've been a
welcome.
big help.